and today's show is on sound for anxiety. I think that could be good for Doug here. So we're going to go through the Medical Sound Association meeting that we did for sound and anxiety in detail and go through all the different ways we can get to a place of peace out of anxiety. But before we, so our intention is that people may never have anxiety or be able to resolve the anxiety very quickly from now on. That's all. Okay, so let's talk about sound for anxiety. What we've done with the Medical Sound Association is created detailed treatment plans that go through the medical details, the framework or approach that we're using to approach this issue, the preparation, safety guidelines, intake questions, the actual treatments, and then treatments other than sound, and then actual homework you can give to clients or do yourself. This is really good for not only yourself, but for if you're working on somebody with sound as well. And we've got all these different issues that you can check out. They're 30-page treatment plans, but today we're going to be looking at the one for anxiety. So when it comes to the medical details for anxiety, there's quite a few types of anxiety. Ultimately, we should have really detailed treatment plans for every type of anxiety because it might be a little bit different. Actually, there's two main types we're going to be dealing with today, and one is panic disorder, and the other is generalized anxiety disorder. There's also phobias, which would be maybe dealt with a little bit differently because you could actually take the phobia and work with sound directly while actually encountering that phobia. But mostly we're going to be working with panic attacks and just basic anxiety. It's not really clear what causes anxiety, but there's a full range of genetics, brain biology and chemistry, hormones. Stress level is a big one. Environment, having a very shy or withdrawn personality type. Traumatic events in childhood, so trauma can create anxiety. Current trauma, you can anxiety if you're just in pain, right? Stressful events and situations, poor nutrition, sugar can just do it right there. Some health conditions such as thyroid or arrhythmia, illnesses or disability, substance abuse can totally create anxiety, depression, and death of a loved one. So the truth is each one of these could be dealt with in a little bit different way with sound. And one day we'll have detailed treatment plans for every one of these because that's where we're heading to be able to change the whole medical system and have it really so much more effective. Oh, a couple others I left out here. Parental or peer pressure, bullying, solar flares, and CMEs, coronal mass ejections, totally create anxiety. Electronic disturbances like EMF and earthquakes. I remember I had a serious panic attack right before the 1989 San Francisco earthquake. I was in the hospital, in fact, just right before it happened. Really sensitive to earthquake energy. There's one more here, and that is just living on the planet, right? I mean, if you are present with anything going on this planet, it can totally create anxiety because there's so much craziness going on the planet and violence and such. It's so just being here on the planet and tuning into the whole energy here can actually do it. Of course, there's all types of symptoms. I mean, just anxious thoughts, restless, tense. Physical symptoms could be heartbeat, aches, pains, dizziness, change in behavior as well. The current treatments, the reason we put in the current treatments is because it might give you an idea as to actually how to actually shift those into sound and vibration. So there's prescription drugs, psychotherapy, music therapy, biofeedback, movement, meditation, mindfulness, somatic-based therapies, getting you in your body, applied polyvagal therapy. Vitamin B is supposed to be really good. Exercise, uh, probiotics, and I've heard even actually for panic attacks, vitamin C, actually. Although, don't take, uh, what is it? I can't think of, there's the C that's got all the sugar in it. That actually caused a panic attack once. Probiotics, if your stomach's not working well, could help. Acupuncture can help. Massage therapy, body work, energy-based therapies, hypnosis, and exercise. Okay, so the main approach is really the whole deal. It's really the most important part for any treatment plan. So the conceptual framework or approach that or theory behind what we're doing is really, number one is peace. Now, last show we went through in detail all the ways to create peace, and every one of those is really, really effective. Let me kind of review them really briefly here if you didn't hear the last show. Right? So when it comes to peace, you could find just the right frequency for the person's soul or for a part of the body where there's especially a lot of tension. Certain sounds are more peaceful, like the harp, the musical intervals, harmonious musical intervals, and music that's flowing, and especially a slow fade on a crystal bowl that ends really peacefully, or any instrument that fades out slowly. The home note of the key of the song is really good for peace, and slowing down, getting softer and softer and softer until you create a dynamic curve that ends in complete stillness. Sometimes having them play will create peace. Doing voice work, whether it's voice on them or actually just having them do some voice, whether it's toning, chant, or mantra. And then the best, also especially good for anxiety, is sounds on the body, right? Whether it's Tibetan bowls, tuning forks, frame drums, or sound tables, sound lounges, and then brainwave entrainment tuned to the person. We'll talk a little more about this. Right? So all of those are especially good for creating peace and overcoming anxiety. It's really about peace is the whole deal. Now, when it comes to anxiety, though, there's a big difference between panic attacks and just basic anxiety. Panic attacks should be dealt with completely differently than just basic anxiety, because someone that's got panic attacks is really, really sensitive and really, really fragile. I know, because I used to have panic attacks. It's scary. And also your system is blown wide open. It's like you become a sponge of any energy around you. So if anybody comes in the room and they've got anxiety, it just makes your anxiety worse because you totally pick it up. Right? Also, there's so many things that are really important. First of all, if someone's having a panic attack, don't ask any questions. I remember thinking when people were asking me questions, you want me to try and think now and actually give an answer to that question? That is so stressful, right? Don't ask people questions. Also, most sound does not work for panic attacks. It will normally make it worse. Crystal bowls can be a nightmare for people with panic attacks. In fact, about the only sound, also other than some music that I've got here, about the only sound that works is a really low frequency, soft hum, or ooh, ooh. That can even be too much for people, though. The main thing when if someone has a panic attack is do not get entrained into the energy of their panic attack. You've got to hold your own energy and not be entrained into it at all. Otherwise, now you got a panic attack party, right? And they're feeding off your panic, right? So you really have to ground and really be sure you're calm yourself. The one thing I learned that the main antidote for panic attacks is love. I mean, love is the deal. It's although that may not be appropriate, but if you just run the energy of love and just be still, you could just hold their hand. Sometimes it's not appropriate to touch them. Just hold space. Just sit or talk softly and low and at a low pitch and very calmly, and really just entrain them into the calmness. You can just know that if you can go to a really peaceful, calm place, they're going to pick up on that big time, right? So that's really the deal. Low light. If there's any light, any way to create a low light situation, that's really, really excellent. Sometimes people think nature will help. Well, the sound of nature, like ocean or rivers, it's actually too much. Way too much. I found that the ocean sound was way too much when I was having a panic attack. But, maybe anything beautiful, though. Let me put it this way. When people are having panic attacks, it's like they're on psychedelics. Their system is blown wide open, which means their system is not shut down and it's not really completely frazzled. They can totally go to a higher state of consciousness and get blissed out while having the panic attack. So any way you can bring them into that place. So, nature, a beautiful space, creating a beautiful environment in the home or a beautiful space out in nature where it's completely safe, right? Where it's completely safe. And no one else is around as well. You don't want other people around at all when anybody's having panic attack. There's some music that actually does work really well for panic attacks. Let me play one of the songs. This one is Calm Sleep. I'm just going to play the short version of this. Okay. Calm Sleep. Okay. Oh, I gotta share my screen again. Okay. Share the sound. There we go. Okay, I know people that said this song saved their life when they were having panic attacks. Right. Okay, check this out. It's only like 5 minutes here. effective. One thing when someone's having a panic attack, sometimes they'll might start crying. I think it's really important to never touch someone or even talk to them if someone's crying. I think that's the most beautiful release there is. And if you get in the way or ask them, "Are you okay?" It's like people ask me that, I'm like, I'm perfect actually. I'm finally releasing, right? So unless they look really distraught, I would just completely be still. Don't touch them. Don't hug them. Just be still and hold space and let them cry. Right? That's really, really the whole deal. Sound tables for panic attacks are not cool. They're a nightmare. They're way too much energy, way too much vibration. It's really, really not good. There's also the couple of things that cause panic attacks. Um, my take on it from having them so much years ago is, first of all, alcohol was my main trigger. About 2 to 3 days after I would drink alcohol, it would go through my intestines, and I would then get a panic attack. So sometimes people think, oh, give people alcohol if they're having a panic attack, it will calm them down. It might help at the time, but actually, even within a couple of hours, as the alcohol clears out, it creates even more anxiety. Also, all the drugs, even uh, what's the main drug? Xanax. I used to have Xanax in my pocket all the time. The Xanax actually weakens your system and makes you more prone to panic attacks. It's really not good. Any of the drugs are really bad for panic attacks. They might help in the moment, but they make you more sensitive later. And so you got to be really careful with those. Um, Panic attacks are uh, also uh, you, you just really I've got some other music I'll play for you here in a minute, but those are kind of the main things for panic attacks. Oh, that's what I was going to say. There's generally the way I think of it is a panic attack comes from stress over a long period of time. So you've been so stressed that the cortisol and all of the anxiety hormones build up in the body. And the reason I say this is because I actually uh, found that redwood trees were unbelievable for panic attacks. I mean, they would get rid of the panic attacks, just hug a redwood tree. It was so effective, right? And then I got rid of a panic attack once, and then I uh, went home and went to sleep, and I woke up at 2 in the morning, and I had this buzz in my intestines. It was like, ee. At that point, I knew how to get rid of the panic attack, so I didn't freak out. But I knew that there were still these hormones in my gut. And so it takes a little while for them to clear out, maybe even a couple of weeks. So the trick is to get someone to a place of peace and over and over and over, because here's the big problem with panic attacks. When people get really anxious in the panic attack, it creates more cortisol. It's this feedback loop that makes it even worse. So the panic attack creates more panic, right? uh, so so the trick is to be able to get to it and be in a place of peace over and over and over as much as possible until those hormones, those anxiety hormones, clear out. So we'll play some more music for panic attacks in just a little bit. The trick is really to be able to be at peace and not have regular anxiety build up over time. Right? Okay, so now let's talk about just regular anxiety. it's quite different because people that have regular anxiety, it kind of often it comes and goes, right? So you might actually be able to totally handle a sound table or any sound instrument. In fact, maybe banging a gong could get that anxiety out. Whereas people that are really fragile from the panic or from the anxiety, they are not going to be able to actually handle hardly any sound at all. So with again, it's all about peace. It's getting people to a place of peace is really the most important aspect. Right. Now, so for for regular anxiety, the sound table, there's nothing better than the sound table. If I have anything anxious going on, the sound table is just the very best. Right. So let's see. Here we go. So also brainwave entrainment tuned to the person. Now, to actually have your note, be able to listen to your note and your rhythm will actually take your nervous system back to its stable, consistent vibration of peace. So actually playing each of the 12 notes and seeing which one makes you the most peaceful, we actually play the notes and the rhythms, can be really effective to get you back to the peace and have you just listen to a CD or download in your key. That's really effective. Again, sound on the body is just so effective. I mean, a Tibetan bowl on the body, a big Tibetan bowl, 10 to 12 inch especially, is really nice. Or a tuning forks on the body. Tuning forks can be incredible for anxiety, especially when you learn the different acupuncture points. But just to do all vertebrae, both sides of the vertebrae with two forks, and do every vertebrae on both sides, that could totally calm a person out. Or especially, I would not recommend high frequency forks, more the low frequency forks to actually get rid of the anxiety. This is not for panic attacks. This is a little too much for panic attacks. We're talking just anxiety. But also the kidney 1 on the bottom of the foot is really good. Anywhere, just to do like 15 minutes on the bottom of the feet with tuning forks is just the best. I really like the Schumann forks because that's the main frequency that people are tuned to on this planet. It's a frequency that vibrates in the atmosphere, so the Schumann fork can be really good. But if you have a bunch of different forks, you could simply play them for the person and have them say which one feels the most peaceful. But then, after you deal with getting people to a place of peace, you can actually work with them on what the triggers are. Now, if someone's having panic attacks, you don't talk about anything. You don't talk about the triggers. In fact, talking about the triggers can trigger the panic attack. You really don't. Even if someone is not in a panic attack but's had panic attacks in the last week, you don't want to ask them what triggers your panic attack, because even talking about it can cause a panic attack. So, but if the person's just dealing with anxiety, it can be really cool. It's nice to actually get them to a place of peace with a sound treatment at first before you start talking with them, because then they'll be in a much more peaceful place to really explore. And so this is for someone that's just having basic anxiety. So the main thing is, how do you deal with the triggers when they happen? So you really want to talk to them about what are the triggers. And it could be a person, it could be a situation, it could be job, it could be work, it could whatever it is. What are those triggers? And then there's so many different ways to work with sound while a trigger is happening. The the first thing is to simply do any vowel. And you could even do it silently, because if you're in the midst of a trigger, you're not going to be able to actually be able to make a sound out loud. I found that actually doesn't help if you're in a situation, right? Because if you're in an argument especially. But you can do sound silent. If you can make it out loud, do any vowel, right, in the midst of the trigger if you have something that's creating anxiety. Or just do like a really loud om, or any vowel, or hum silently. So it's like ooh, but silently. Because all the vowels are stable, consistent vibrations, and they will overcome any chaotic vibrations of anxiety. Now, what you can also do, if you have a situation at home and you've got a crystal bowl, or it's nice to get the different sound healing instruments yourself and be able to actually play them and tone along with them whenever you actually have anxiety, because they're easy. I mean, that's the definition of sound healing instruments, are instruments that anybody can play. So that's really cool to be able to just do that. Of course, there's different music you could actually use for anxiety as well. In fact, you should make your own playlist. Make up a playlist of music, whether it's on Spotify or put it in iTunes. So you've got like the mellowest music there is, or just find a station. I mean, there's so many relaxing stations on Spotify and such. So that can be just that right there. But not only that, to be able to use music through the day, if you can. When I'm working, I've got some really mellow music going, so I don't get anxious when I'm actually getting really mental, right, and working mentally. So music, to have your own playlist, can be really, really good. Um, Again, you're not going to be dealing with these triggers if someone is really fragile. The other thing is to have different exercises that get them in their body. And it could be toning, it could be sound on the body, but it's also to be able to just tune in to the actual your body and be present in your body. One thing is to simply breathe, do a slow breath at the tempo that feels right for you. Just do a very slow breath. Right? That one's really good to practice. And then another one is to just feel all the parts of the body, especially to feel gravity pulling you to the center of the earth. That's the most grounding little exercise I've come up with for grounding and being in your body, is feel gravity in your body pulling you to the center of the earth. I really especially like the base of the spine. But then we got the holding frequency class, which is actually coming up. If you wanted to sign up for that class on Tuesday the 23rd, we go through 11 techniques to be at peace in the midst of a challenge or a conflict. You can just let it be in your body and breathe, like we just said, or be in the moment. Be that point of awareness that's watching whatever is going on. That point of awareness is perfectly still. That camera, that witness that is watching it, is perfectly still. Be that point of awareness. Be that stillness. Right? You can do toning. You could also bring gratitude to the challenge. Thank you for this growth. Because often we have anxiety with challenges and conflict, and when you realize that this is helping you grow, that takes away the anxiety from it. You can even welcome it once it's here. Don't bring it on. Just after it's here, welcome it. Right? But you can also bring compassion. Why is this challenge there? Why is this person hurting you? It's because they're lost. It's because they're entrained into the selfishness of our society for tens of thousands of years, right? That's really the whole deal. It's not their fault. So you bring compassion to the situation or the person that's bringing you this anxiety. But the easiest one is just send love to them. Send love, and send love to the situation. Send love to yourself. Make the sound of love. Send love to your own heart when you're in this anxiety. Again, love is the ultimate antidote for panic attacks and anxiety. And then what you can do also is you can actually go to a place where imagine that all anxiety is gone. What would it feel like if there was no more anxiety in your life? Right? And the situations, the actual triggers that create anxiety, you are now grounded, present, and ready to deal with it. And there's zero anxiety created by it. What would that feel like in your body? It's really cool to think of all the situations that create anxiety and imagine being completely at peace no matter what when they happen. That's really cool. Okay? So now you've got that in your mind when it happens. Right? So then you make the sound of what it would be like if there's no more anxiety in your life. Here's the sound I would make. Really nice to really get to the place also where you are ready and figure out ways to deal with the anxiety, the triggers, right? All the different things we've said, but knowing that you can make it through and even learn from it. So now it's exciting instead of creating anxiety. Basically the whole thing is getting over the fear, because the fear is often the thing that creates the anxiety. It's all perfect. It's all perfect. Now, there's one other thing that's really effective for anxiety, and that's a chakra treatment that I've shared before, where you tune into each chakra. At first, you just listen for a frequency at the base of your spine. Listen for your frequency. And then imagine it humming there. This is really good for panic attacks. You don't do it out loud. Just imagine it vibrating there. And then do the same for the second chakra, third, heart chakra. Take your time on each one. Do like 5-10 minutes each. And then do the throat chakra. Find a frequency you're getting. It's not important that you get the right frequency for each chakra. Just so you're getting a stable, consistent vibration, which is any vowel. Imagine it vibrating at each chakra. Throat chakra, third eye, and then crown. And that got rid of my panic attacks every time, so that all fear was completely gone. It's such a effective meditation. I know everybody I've shared it with has been able to use it and get rid of any panic attack or anxiety, because anxiety is much easier than panic attacks. Also, my chakra guided meditation CD, which is actually online as well. You just do a search for chakra guided meditation. It's the one where I walk you through tuning into all 7 chakras at the same time. That's really effective as well tuning into multiple things at once and being present in your body with all the chakras is so, so, so effective. Okay? So you might check those out as well. Let me play my Sound of Love CD. Sound of Love is really effective as well. I'll just play the short version here. Oh, let me share my screen or share my sound, and we'll end with this Sound of Love. Okay, here's the Sound of Love. Again, love is the best antidote there is for panic attacks or anxiety. I remember when I had panic attacks, I would play that on guitar, and I would start crying, and the panic attack would be completely gone. Take a look at the Medical Sound Association site. There's way more details. We only got through about half of it, of the treatment plan for anxiety. I mean, we've got homework you could do. There's full range of other things in there that you can do besides sound as well at Medical Sound Association, and then look for the integrative therapy side. So again, our intention is that all anxiety is gone on this planet. Hold that intention at least for the rest of the day and the week ahead, months ahead, years ahead, lifetimes ahead. Thanks for listening. Take care.